Welcome to VFILES.DATA.
Alexander McQueen is a human being who designed clothes and scuba dived frequently. Born Lee Alexander McQueen, March 17, 1969 in a council flat in the borough of Lewisham, in the City of London, in the United Kingdom, on planet Earth. The puerile Lee began stitching cloth together when designing and fabricating dresses for his three sisters. He studied at the Rockaby School, which is a fact of little historical consequence. Afterwards he worked as an apprentice to a number of tailors on Savile Row, home of the Royal Geographic Society, which is a club where wealthy British men plan expeditions to the North Pole. Savile Row is also home to the first dinner jacket, colloquially known as the tuxedo, and the term bespoke. McQueen later worked as a tailor for Angels and Bermans, the longest established costume supplier in the world to date. The formal difference between costume and fashion is unclear. McQueen later graduated from Central St. Martin's in 1992 with a degree in fashion design. His entire graduate collection was bought by British Vogue's contributing editor, Isabella Blow. She wore one of his dresses in a picture that appeared in Vogue that same year, which is statistically unusual for a recent graduate at that time. Blow also suggested that he change his first name, Lee, to his middle name, Alexander, which he did. The reasoning behind this is unclear. McQueen began creating capsule collections, including a type of women's trousers which rested so low below the hip that the crevice between the wearer's two conjoining buttocks remained visible, thus reducing the effectiveness of the garments by 10 to 15%. These "BUMSTERs" outperformed market expectations by a wide margin. McQueen received the Designer of the Year award in 1996 and succeeded John Galliano as head designer for Givenchy that same year. McQueen famously dismissed founder Hubert D. Givenchy as irrelevant, which was, while inflammatory, a statistically true statement. He left the design house in 2001 but by the time had already sold 51% of his brand to Gucci. In other words, he became a multi-billionaire. McQueen's work, as well as his runway shows, were known for their theatricality and high design. While masterfully tailored and structurally impressive, many of his inventions seem lacking in functionality. His lack of concern for the safety of models sometimes caused uneasiness. Spring 1999, the model Shalon Harlow, donning a white dress, was confined to a rotating section of the runway while two large robotic armatures sprayed paint on her. The scene evoked hilarity in the human audience, with an undernote of horror at the helplessness of the model at the mechanized hands of the behemoth automata. It can be assumed that the machines were unable to give consent to their participation in this cruel human spectacle. In his spring 1999 runway show, models wearing virtually nothing were soaked by a cascade of rain that fell from the ceiling. The water was illuminated with yellow lights, giving it a golden cast before soaking through the models' almost entirely white outfits. The scatological implications of the performance were not lost on most, but it was positively received nonetheless. Spring 2000, models, many of whom wore only lingerie and a face-covering garment resembling a traditional Islamic burqa, were suspended from wires and glided over a bed of enormous spikes. Fall 2003, models wearing enormous capes of fabric, some of which stretched 20 feet, struggled to walk through an enormous wind tunnel, staged to look like the tundra, one of the coldest biomes on Earth, situated near the North Pole. McQueen's Fall 2006 show culminated in a holographic image of Kate Moss appearing in an enormous glass pyramid in the center of the stage. McQueen's Fall 2009 show delved into excess and the absurd, with clothes that painted a picture of wealth and opulence as sinister and dystopian. McQueen fashioned trash into gothic headgear atop clown-like makeup. In the most famous show of his career, McQueen's audience was ushered to their seats around what appeared to be an enormous mirrored cube. Fashion industry elite were subjected to feelings of discomfort and self-consciousness as they were forced to look at themselves until the lights dimmed. The glass cube was illuminated from within, thus becoming transparent, and revealed a runway containing another, smaller translucent cube. The show culminated in the walls of the smaller cube crashing to the floor, revealing a naked woman in a silver gas mask, in a reclining position, covered in moths, a recreation of Joel Peter Whitcon's 1939 painting, Sanatorium. McQueen suffered from depression for most of his life and ultimately committed suicide in 2010. He was survived by his friends and many admirers, including Lady Gaga, Bjork, and his dogs, for whom he allocated £50,000 in his will. Data transmission complete.